Welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing a battery review on an affordable RV battery that can be used in a boat, just about any type of recreational vehicle. The battery was provided by GoKwh. It is an affordable alternative to some of the high-priced batteries. Please don't forget to give me a like and subscribe. Thank you. Good morning. So a few weeks ago I got contacted by a company called GoKwh. And they another company based in China that builds batteries and certain product lines for solar. And they asked me if I wanted to test out one of their batteries and do a full, open, honest review. I said sure. So yesterday we got one in the mail, and we're going to unbox this thing downstairs, check it out, and then we're going to install it in our camper. I don't have a laboratory to check this thing in, but why not use something like a real-world application? I don't see why you can't install it in here and actually run everything in the camper, which is what most folks would do anyway, right? I see people tear these apart on a bench. We won't be doing that. I'm no fool. I'm not going to get myself in a situation to have something short out and spark, and I'm just not going to do that. Most folks out there, they would not tear a battery apart and risk having a short out and have this thing erupt in their face. I don't recommend anybody doing that unless you have a lab, a good place to do it. And if you're going to do something like that, I would certainly recommend that you wear the appropriate PPE, because there's nothing like having a 100 amp hour battery explode in your face and you don't have safety glasses on. So please don't be doing that. Leave that to the pros. I'm not a pro. I do this stuff for fun. I have a solar system installed on our camper here. This is a 2022 Coachman Freedom Express. It came with one small battery on the front. It was a lead acid flooded battery that gave us a few hours of use, and then you had a dead battery. So I upgraded our system and I installed solar on it in a previous video, and I'll try to link that. And I have lithium batteries inside, and I have it set up so that I can move our battery off to the side and plug these in and test them. And I have the watt meter inside to show the consumption and the charging rate. And that's what we're going to do with that today. We're gonna set this up so that you can see real numbers in a real application, and we're also going to have the complete charge cycle. I'll speed that video up, and then we're going to show you a significant load on the battery. And I did make a comment in the video where I thought this was a 100 amp charge rate on this battery, and I'm glad I read through the manual again. It's only recommended to charge it at 50 amps. They say you can do 100, but it will shorten the life of the battery. So follow what the manual says. We're going to put 50 amps at this thing. It should take 2 hours or less to get it all the way up to full capacity. We'll let it set for a little bit, and then we're going to turn on some heat and some lights, and we're actually going to load test this the way that you would at a campground or out boondocking or on the road traveling. I don't see the point of testing it in a garage hooked up to something. Why not hook it up to something like this? So this is where it's going to go, and that's going to be way up in there. I'll pull those batteries to the side and we'll be able to test this one. So this is a 12 volt 100 amp hour battery, and it's the smaller footprint. It'll fit on the tray of most RVs, most small campers. Now this has 2560 watts, and this has a display that's built in the top side. It has 100 amp BMS, so the maximum that it can discharge is 100 amps, and the maximum rate that it can charge is also 100 amps. These are terminal bolts, and that thing's got some foam in there. All right. Good night. This thing is really packed in there. top. First impressions. So, a pretty well packaged item. It feels pretty heavy. I don't know. We're gonna have to look up the weight. And one of the advantages to this little battery is it has a meter on it. Got a really cool digital meter, and you can see, I hope, it shows it's got 13.1 volts, and it doesn't show the current discharge rate because there's nothing hooked to it, but it says the battery's at 49%. Typical. These batteries get shipped and stored about 50%, so that's fantastic. The first thing we're going to do, we're going to go out and install this in the trailer in our camper, and we're going to actually put it in a real world test. We're going to run some appliances, but the first thing that has to happen is this battery's got to be fully charged, and then we're going to let it set overnight. Then the following day, tomorrow morning, we're going to turn this on and test it. We're going to run some heaters, run the RV refrigerator off of it because we have an inverter, and we're going to run this on a battery watt meter, so we're going to see how many amp hours this thing can produce, how long we can run under a sustained load, and see what kind of time we get out of it. So we're looking forward to it. This is a inexpensive battery by comparison to some of the batteries on the market, made by GoKwh. Again, this is 1280 watt hours. All right. May as well call that 23 pounds. That's a pretty cool display. Other YouTubers have reported that this display is not accurate. I really wouldn't rely on this to tell me the whole picture of what's going on in here. They do make inline shunts that I would much, well, that's what I have in my camper and in my garage. I have a good quality shunt. And if you're going to spend the money on one of these, you should probably get a quality battery meter. Anyway, they claim that this one, it's not all that accurate, but if it shows me the state of charge, that's fantastic. So while you guys are waiting on me to hook this up, take a minute to talk about the app. This is a Bluetooth battery, and it has a really good app. Very surprising to me that it's the best app I've seen to date. I'll try to slow this down here so you can see this to download it. I'm not going to pretend like I can pronounce it, but it's a solid app, and I'm going to share some more screens with that as we go along to show the consumption and the charge rates. The app works really good, and it's only good to about 50 feet, but if you're in the RV or close to it, that's really, what more could you expect? 50 feet is pretty good for Bluetooth. So let's show some screenshots of that. So my thoughts on this small battery is you could use this on a very simple camper, and you don't have to get a battery monitor or spend several $100s on any of that equipment. You can monitor what's going on with this battery and its discharge rate from a phone. So I wanted to emphasize you don't need to spend the big bucks. This battery has a cool little function built into it. So real quick, just wanted to cover something. When you are working on electrical, take a moment and make sure that you have all the power sources shut down. If it's got breakers, open them up. Fuses, if you can pop them out. Unplug it. I have this unit plugged in, so I'm going to unplug it from over here, and then I have an existing battery bank that I'm just going to disconnect and slide over and set this new battery in for the test. But I also have the inverter and all this other stuff on the back side of this cabinet. I'm going to go out there and turn all that power off. The message here is, don't be foolish. Never assume that something is safe to work on. You want to take your voltmeter and test these power cables as you disconnect them, just to verify there's no juice on there. Sorry about that. So we have to reprogram this meter. I'm going to add a little more to the meter so we can run it down and see the point to where it dies. And I have to actually change the amp hours that this thing has. And if I can remember, so I'm going to hit that one time. Nope. One more time. Try this again. And I'm not sure what this battery can deliver, so I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt that it's got a little more guts to it than the nameplate. We're going to promise that it can deliver 110 and see what it actually will do before the voltage gets unacceptable. Okay, the battery voltage is down low enough. Now we're going to begin the charge test. So in a second you'll hear a beep and you should see this current start to cancel out. All right. So hopefully that's showing up on the camera. So we're sticking some pretty good power to this thing. Let's see if I can get you guys closer. Yeah, we're sticking some juice to it. So according to the app, we've got 1 hour to go. We started charging a little bit, if you remember, a little bit past 1 o'clock. I think it was 1:09. So we started charging, just call it 35 minutes ago. So we are getting pretty close. It's 2:28 p.m. I think we started at 1:09 or 1:10. It was 2:41. The battery dropped down to 13.2. So the paperwork didn't say you could not do it this way. So we're just going to start the load test. Right now I got just the lights on, and you can see we're dropping, pulling 11 amps out. So we're gonna mark the time at 2:40, and we're going to kick on some more load, and we're going to watch and see what happens to the battery. Again, we're going to try to get this battery down about 10.5 volts. See what happens. So here comes a heater. And let's see what kind of amperage that gets up to. Okay, so we're running I believe it's a 850 watt space heater. We got a bunch of lights on, and I got the awning on the outside is lit up. Every light on the inside of the camper. Okay, that kind of settled in. I think we'll let this test run in the time lapse, and we'll see how long it takes for it to get there. According to the battery Bluetooth monitoring app, hopefully that's coming in pretty decent. It is showing that we got 98% state of charge and we're dropping, you know, it's not dropping fast, but remember, this is only a 100 amp hour battery. So this is a smaller battery. This isn't what you would typically find. You would not see just one of these in an RV of this size. There would be multiple. So this is going to be a heavy load test, a continuous load test, about 69 amps. And we're just going to see how long it takes for it to fall on its face. So there we go. Let's see what happens. By the way, I'll be over here watching TV, drinking coffee. You guys keep an eye on this for me. Thanks. Alright, just jumping in here. We're running right along. Just about 3:30. We're still at 12.6. We pulled about 44 amp hours out of the battery. It's cruising right along. Really no surprises. The predictor on the battery, the app itself tells us that, gives us this information, and I got to tell you, this app is full of cool stuff. What it tells us up here in the corner shows us all the stuff that we're using out of this battery, all the power. It talks about 42 minutes left. Okay, and I got to look up these parameters. I've been reading the manual in the background. Hopefully that focuses. It looks like 12.9 volts. There's some cool things in here that are quite impressive. Gets into cell technology, from cell to cell, and it shows the delta between them. There's some, on the next charge, I'm going to do this calibration and see if that helps the battery out too. But this part, if you're a nerd like me, this part really is cool. Volts, current, shows how they intersect, how they're linear to one another. Look at this one. There's our capacity in amp hours. I mean, this battery is on sale for, I believe, $236. I mean, really, if I had a tiny camper, I would have this in that camper, and I'd probably have another one in my little fishing boat for the trolling motor and the party lights. I mean, I can't, right now I have no reason to complain about this battery. This thing is actually performing quite well. So we'll go back on time lapse. It probably won't be very long. It says 45 minutes. We're still at a reasonable voltage. We've been running a constant, continuous 69 amps of load off this battery. So this battery, for a tiny little battery that weighs 22 pounds, this is incredible. It's okay. So the Bluetooth app is indicating it has 6 minutes of calculated runtime left. So I thought I would go back to video mode, and I can speed it up from here. So welcome back. So it's the next day and evening here, so it's, the battery's had a chance to go to full charge. So now we're gonna take a shot at this thing. Once everything is properly charged slow, we're gonna see what kind of endurance this battery has. So let's go get it set up and see how well it does. So we got all this good stuff set up. We're going to turn the inverter on. that's the Renogy inverter you hear telling us it's starting. All right. And there'll be a clunk in a minute, and we'll see the 110 plugs go hot. Like, good telltale sign will be the microwave light up. It's a 30-second delay. I use automatic transfer switch in this camper. There we go. So we are on generator power, which is a solar system that we installed. So now our battery tells us that it's at full charge capacity, 13.2 volts. All right, and we're currently drawing a slow amount of power because I got all the lights on. So we're going to mark this test right now, 523, and I'm going to put this GoPro on a stand and let this thing start recording. I will turn the unit heater on. So I have this little unit heater down here, a little electric heater, and it's kind of set up with the Renogy one core. So there's the battery heat strips, and here's chair power, and the heat strip in this case is that little space heater. So we're just going to use that to crank up some load. We should see about 70 amps of load. That's the inverter alarm again. So you can see we're at 10.6 volts. The inverter is actually showing less than that. 10.5 is the alarm that I can't really change. So 10.5 volts, 10.4, and that battery is still connected. I'm surprised it hasn't opened up yet. 10.4 on that. Now the battery meter is actually alarming, and things are starting to shut down. All right, 10.3 volts. We're still lit up. The camper still has power, but I think we're at the bottom end at 10.3 volts, and I think we're going to call it at that. Yep, 10.3 still going. That's the battery meter alarm squawking at us. Interesting, 10.2 still. So I am a little surprised. The lights have dimmed. I'm a little bit surprised that the battery BMS hasn't kicked us out, you know, shut us down. Still going. 9.9 volts on the amps. Oh, sorry, 9.9 volts from the app. We're 9.9 on the battery meter. And according to this, we're down to 0 amp hours. It is finished. So I don't want to damage the battery, and I'm going to do a disconnect now. We're at 9.9 volts. We're going to call this good. Okay, so we're finally back from doing the test on this RV battery. We ran this battery up and down every day for 5 days in the camper. I charged it with the inverter, and then we charged it with solar, and there really wasn't a lot of difference. As long as you control the amount of power going into the battery, it seems to be, the capacity seems to be really good on it. You will get the 100 amp hours out of it. If you charge it quick, it shuts down a little bit soon, and as soon as it settles, it looks like you have about 92 amp hours to go. If you charge it at 50, then you get 100 out of the battery. The best test I had on it was I had 102. I had 4 tests in a row where I got 96, 96, 98, and 99 amp hours out of the battery, and the one day I charged it too fast and it had a little less capacity. So the paperwork online with the battery, it does state in there to charge it at 50 amps for better longevity. So that's absolutely true. So just a exiting comment on this thing. The battery itself, the little meter here, there are other people on YouTube that did some tests on it, and the little meter itself, it definitely, it's not as accurate as the shunt that's in the RV itself. I'm trying to get this light out of there, make it a little easier. But I will say it's not bad. It's a good reference point for you to know the state of charge in the battery. But if you've got a system in your camper, chances are you might have a shunt. But the Bluetooth part of this works fantastic. I was really impressed with that. That seems to be pretty good. It tells you how long it's going to last. Complete energy page for the battery power. Overall, this battery, how would it compare to, say, like a Battleborn? You know, I really don't have any idea. It is a lesser cost battery than a Battleborn. So this thing, I think it's on sale. I think it's around 350 bucks is the normal price on it. I can't recall. I think it's just under 300 right after Christmas there. But it's about 23 pounds on my scale here, and it seemed to perform as advertised on the web. It does not have that low ambient protection. So where would I put this battery at? You know, where would you use it? And I think, quite honestly, this battery would be a good one for a small RV, a fishing boat, camper van, that type of thing. Well, that about wraps this up. Sorry the length of this video, but I wanted to get as much information I could in there for anybody that may be in the market for a battery. I'm not affiliated with this company. This is just a review that I did. Battery was given to me, and I just thought I would run it through all the tests that I could. So thanks for watching, and if you hung in there, I appreciate it if you could give me a like and subscribe. Thank you very much.